Started with our first news. Cory Sandhagen is heading into UFC 320 with confidence at an all-time high. Set to challenge Merab Dvalishvili for the bantamweight title this weekend, Sandhagen isn't just preparing for another fight. He's convinced he has reached a new level in his career. For him, this isn't just a championship opportunity. It's the moment where years of experience, self-belief, and refined skill come together. I know it sounds cliché, because every fighter says it before a big fight, Sandhagen admits, but I truly feel like I've tapped into something different. I'm operating on a level that I've never experienced before in my career. I'm more confident, I believe in myself more than ever, and my skills have sharpened to the point where everything makes more sense. My understanding of the game is clearer, my execution is cleaner, and the confidence that comes with that makes me feel unbeatable. Sandhagen credits his intense preparation, as well as the guidance of his coaches and training partners, for helping him arrive at this mental and physical peak. This camp has been about more than just getting ready for Merab. It's been about forging a new version of myself, hammering down weaknesses, sharpening my tools, and building a mindset that doesn't break. I've put in the work, and I've had incredible support around me. On fight night, all of that will show. I really do feel unbeatable, but Sandhagen knows exactly what stands across from him inside the octagon. Merab Dvalishvili has carved his reputation on relentless pressure, world-class wrestling, and a gas tank that wears down even the most durable opponents. Sandhagen acknowledges that Merab's path to victory has always been clear: drown his opponents with takedowns, control them on the ground, and exhaust them until they can't fight back. Yet Sandhagen believes he's uniquely equipped to shut those doors. That's how Merab wins. He wrestles, he has solid submissions, and he breaks people with his cardio. If I don't allow him to do those things, the fight becomes very different. He's going to be forced to strike with me, and unless his striking has dramatically improved, it's going to be a very tough night for him. Sandhagen points to his track record as proof. Not once in my career have I been incredibly fatigued the way I've seen Merab's opponents look. Not once have I been held on my back longer than 10 seconds unless it was something I allowed to happen. Those two things, being gassed out or being stuck on the ground, aren't part of my fights. I've proven time and time again that I can handle that. If you take those options away from Merab, he doesn't have many other routes to victory. Meanwhile, I have several. For Sandhagen, the stakes extend beyond the title. When I beat Merab, who's considered one of the greatest in the division right now, my stock is going to skyrocket. I'll prove something to myself and to the rest of the world. Then, there are rematches I want to pursue, unfinished business I want to settle. I'm excited for this year, the next, and the years after that. My entire career feels alive with possibility right now. As UFC 320 approaches, Sandhagen's vision is crystal clear. It's going to be my night, he says with conviction. I'm going to walk out as champion. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way, you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Jake Shields and Bobby Green recently opened up about what it's like to spar UFC middleweight contender Sean Strickland, and their stories reveal both the frustrations and the respect that come with training alongside him. Bobby Green, in particular, claims that some of Strickland's unusual stand-up style comes directly from him. Sean would just beat people up. That's what he did, Green explained. He's still known for it to this day, just going around the gym, picking guys apart. He can be a bully sometimes, especially with beginners or fighters who are too nice in training. That's what I'd see, and I was the type to step in for those guys. Sean and I would always get into it. According to Green, Strickland's striking is not the traditional kind you see from polished boxers or kickboxers. Instead, it's effective because of how different and awkward it is. His stand-up's awkward, Green said. He doesn't hit the hardest, but he's very hard to hit. His distance, his parrying, the way he moves, it's awkward, but it works. Who do you think taught him that? Green asked with a smile, hinting at his influence on Strickland's defensive style. Green credits not just himself but also other training partners for shaping Sean's unique approach inside the cage. He fights the way he does because he came up moving with guys like Lorenz Larkin, Johnny Bravo, me, Willie Gates. We all played a role in that. The shelling, the awkward movement, the parrying, it was frustrating for us to deal with back then. You're trying to land clean shots on him, and he's just there, moving and blocking everything. That's where he gets it from. People don't realize how much harder he is to hit than it looks. Jake Shields added context to Strickland's gym reputation, backing up Green's claim that sparring him can be a frustrating experience. Strickland's relentless approach and volume make him a handful, but what sets him apart is his ability ability to control distance and deflect shots in unconventional ways. You think you're about to touch him, Shields noted, and then he just angles off, parries, or rolls out of the way. It's not pretty, but it's effective. Beyond fighting mechanics, Bobby Green took a moment to share something more personal about Strickland. He admitted that early in their relationship he misjudged him. "This is my message to Sean if he sees this," Green said. "Back then, I used to think of him as a little racist. At that time, I was broken too, and everything he said rubbed me the wrong way. But now that I'm older, I see it differently." Sean was just being himself. He never realized that most of his closest friends were black. He might not have been aware of it, but that's just who he was. Green now sees Strickland in a new light, still a bully in the gym at times, still awkward and frustrating to spar with, but also authentic. All those little things he does, that style he has, it comes from the guys he came up with, and it works for him. People are always surprised by how tricky he is in there, but trust me, we've seen it up close for years. Sean's way harder to hit than people realize. Between Shields' acknowledgement of Strickland's awkward effectiveness and Green's mix of frustration and reluctant pride in helping shape his style, one thing is clear: sparring with Sean Strickland is never easy. He may not have the heaviest punches, but his unique movement, relentless pressure, and raw personality make him one of the most difficult fighters to figure out, both inside and outside the gym. Move on to another news. The tension between Cory Sandhagen and Merab Dvalishvili has taken on a new layer of drama in the days leading up to their UFC 320 showdown. While most fighters hype their bouts through interviews, face-offs, and training clips, Sandhagen decided to take a different approach, posting a satirical skit on Instagram. The video, which quickly caught the attention of the MMA community, depicted Sandhagen and a few fellow fighters in a mock roommate scenario. The comedic bit featured characters meant to represent some of the top names in the bantamweight division, including Sean O'Malley, Petr Yan, Song Yadong, and of course, Merab Dvalishvili himself. In the skit, Sandhagen jokes about the group dynamic as though all of them live together under one roof. He quips about the awkwardness of Petr Yan, the eccentric energy of Dvalishvili, and the overall chaos of living with a bunch of fighters. At one point, Sandhagen takes a playful jab at the cultural mix-up of the cast, saying that since the producers didn't know many Chinese fighters personally, they settled on having a Vietnamese stand-in for Song Yadong. The bit was clearly designed as tongue-in-cheek humor, poking fun at the quirks and personalities of his rivals. While many fans found the skit entertaining, not everyone was laughing, least of all Merab Dvalishvili. The Georgian contender, known for his relentless cardio and wrestling-heavy style, took offense to being the butt of Sandhagen's jokes. Dvalishvili left a pointed comment under the video: "I don't like your jokes anymore." For Dvalishvili, who has always been proud of his heritage and his reputation as one of the hardest workers in the division, Sandhagen's exaggerated portrayal struck a nerve. Though the comment was short, it spoke volumes about his feelings toward the clip. Unlike some fighters who thrive on banter, Dvalishvili has often presented himself as more serious and respectful, and he clearly didn't appreciate being mocked in this way. In the skit itself, Sandhagen portrayed Dvalishvili as the overly energetic, somewhat incomprehensible roommate who constantly disrupts the household. At one point, his character complains about Merab waking everyone up too early, making loud noises, and being difficult to understand. The humor reached a crude level when Sandhagen joked that Merab jerks off a lot, followed by another scene where the group pressures him to take his turn cooking. For Sandhagen, the skit seemed to be all about building hype and showing his creative personality outside the cage. He has often leaned into humor as a way to engage fans, separate himself from the pack, and ease the tension of fight week. But for Dvalishvili, this wasn't comedy, it was disrespect. The situation has only added fuel to the fire heading into their bantamweight clash. Sandhagen, brimming with confidence, has promised to keep the fight standing and prove that he's unbeatable. Dvalishvili, on the other hand, may now have extra motivation to silence the jokes once the cage door closes. What started as a lighthearted skit has quickly turned into another storyline in one of the division's most anticipated fights. Whether fans see Sandhagen's humor as clever or tasteless, one thing is certain: Merab Dvalishvili will be entering UFC 320 with no smiles for his opponent. Move on to another news. Former UFC middleweight champion Robert Whittaker has his eyes set on new horizons. After years of competing at 185 pounds against some of the toughest names in the sport, Whittaker has openly admitted that a move to light heavyweight is not out of the question. In a recent interview with Submission Radio, the Australian star spoke candidly about the possibility of testing himself at 205 pounds, including potential clashes with reigning light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira and top contender Magomed Ankalaev. Whittaker revealed that the idea of moving up has been on his mind for some time. "I think there's a chance I may end up fighting at light heavyweight," he said. "It wouldn't be bad, it might even be fun. Back when Alex Pereira was still at middleweight, that was a fight I wanted. It was in my sights then, and now that he's moved up and is the champion at 205, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility." The matchup between Whittaker and Pereira would be a blockbuster for fans. Pereira, known for his devastating knockout power and kickboxing credentials, has taken the UFC by storm, capturing titles in 2 weight divisions in record time. Whittaker, meanwhile, is one of the most technically polished fighters in the game, combining crisp boxing with slick footwork and a well-rounded arsenal. A showdown between the two would pit Pereira's raw power against Whittaker's speed and versatility, making for a fascinating stylistic clash. Whittaker also touched on the challenges of competing in a division filled with larger athletes. "At light heavyweight, they're all tall and rangy. Everyone seems to be 6 feet 3 inches or taller with really long arms," Whittaker explained. "That changes the way you fight. Distance becomes different, timing becomes different. It's not impossible, but it's definitely an adjustment." One fighter in particular who caught Whittaker's attention is Magomed Ankalaev. Considered one of the toughest puzzles in the division, Ankalaev is known for his calculated striking, strong grappling base, and ability to neutralize opponents. Whittaker admitted that a potential fight with Ankalaev would be incredibly challenging. "It would be like a chess match," he said. "Ankalaev would be a nightmare to fight. He's smart, patient, and doesn't make many mistakes. It would be a very tactical fight, one where I'd have to be switched on the entire time." For Whittaker, though, these challenges are part of what makes the idea appealing. Moving to light heavyweight wouldn't just be about chasing another belt, it would be about testing himself against new competition, fresh faces, and stylistic matchups that excite him. "We'll see what happens," he said. "Right now, I'm focused on the opportunities in front of me, but I'll never rule out the possibility of fighting at 205. If the right fight comes up, I'd be ready." As Whittaker continues his career at middleweight for the time being, fans will no doubt keep an eye on whether the former champion decides to make the jump. With names like Pereira and Ankalaev waiting at light heavyweight, the potential storylines are too enticing to ignore. Move on to another news. UFC Perth delivered an action-packed card filled with exciting finishes, but one moment in particular has overshadowed much of the event, sparking heated debate among fans, fighters, and analysts. The controversy centers on the welterweight bout between Jake Matthews and Neil Magny, a fight that saw one of the most confusing referee interventions in recent memory. Late in the opening round, Matthews locked in a tight guillotine choke on Magny. For several tense seconds, it appeared that Magny might be on the verge of being finished. His arm briefly dropped in a way that made it seem like he had gone limp. At that moment, the referee intervened, appearing to stop the fight just seconds before the round ended. Matthews released the choke, believing he had scored a first-round submission victory, but the chaos had only just begun. Instead of declaring Matthews the winner, the referee quickly claimed that he had stepped in because the round had ended, not because Magny was out. The fight was restarted for round 2, leaving Matthews visibly confused and frustrated. Ultimately, the tide turned as Magny weathered the storm and went on to secure a submission victory of his own in the 3rd round. Unsurprisingly, Matthews and his team were furious with the sequence of events. His management later confirmed to BJPenn.com that they intend to appeal the result, arguing that the fight should have been called in Matthews' favor. The MMA community wasted no time weighing in on the controversy. Analyst Aaron Bronsteter observed, "Referee corrects his mistake and says that the fight is still on. Definitely appeared he stopped it." Commentator Brent Brooke agreed, writing, "He clearly said he's out and stopped the fight. He got lucky that there was only 1 second left so he could try and play it off, but by the rules, this fight should have ended right there." MMA journalist Adam Martin speculated that the bout could be overturned. "I think Matthews will ultimately get it overturned to a no contest and then him and Magny rematch later this year. Just my guess," he wrote. Former UFC fighter Kenny Florian was especially critical, calling the referee's actions atrocious. He added, "How can a ref stop the fight, touch the fighter, pull him off, essentially applying the submission before the bell, and then say he didn't stop the fight? You can't wave off a fight and then claim the round was over." Fans echoed similar sentiments online. One argued that Matthews never should have been forced to continue after believing he had won. "He celebrated, dumped all his adrenaline, and then had to go back out there. Ridiculous," wrote one user. Another predicted, "If Matthews does file an appeal, it's absolutely going to be a no contest. Him thinking the fight was over and then having to continue completely changes everything." After the event, event, UFC executive Dave Shaw addressed the issue at the post-fight press conference. "The whole situation was strange," Shaw admitted. "From where we were sitting, there was confusion. It looked like Magny's arm went limp for a moment, and I assume the referee thought he was going out. My only assumption is that the ref stepped in prematurely." As of now, Matthews' team is pursuing a formal appeal, and the debate over what should have been done continues to rage. Whether the result will be overturned or left to stand, UFC Perth will be remembered not only for its thrilling fights, but for one of the most controversial stoppage moments in recent UFC history. Move on to another news. Conor McGregor has once again sent shockwaves through the MMA world by dropping a massive update on his long-awaited return to the UFC. The Irish superstar, who hasn't competed since 2021 after suffering a broken leg in his rematch with Dustin Poirier, has confirmed that his next fight will be against longtime rival Michael Chandler. But this is not just any fight, it's shaping up to be the most unprecedented event in UFC history. At 37 years old, McGregor's career has been defined by both iconic triumphs and controversial setbacks. After back-to-back losses to Poirier and an extended layoff due to injury, many wondered whether the former two-division champion would ever step inside the octagon again. Although he was originally scheduled to face Chandler in 2024, a broken toe just 2 weeks before fight night forced him to withdraw, delaying one of the most highly anticipated clashes in recent UFC memory. Now, McGregor has put all doubts to rest, making it clear that the Chandler fight is back on. "Michael Chandler and myself," he confirmed when asked who his next opponent would be. "We've done the Ultimate Fighter, we've had a good back and forth, and he's a tough guy." What truly elevates this fight beyond anything fans have seen before is its rumored location, the White House lawn. Earlier this year, U.S. President Donald Trump, a close ally of UFC President Dana White, announced his vision of hosting a UFC card at the White House to mark Independence Day and the 250th anniversary of the United States. Dana White has called it the baddest card of all time, with other massive names like Jon Jones and Khamzat Chimaev reportedly in the mix. McGregor, however, isn't just fighting for glory, he's negotiating on a scale that matches his larger-than-life persona. Posting on X, the former champion laid out his conditions: $100 million to fight at the White House along with 100 U.S. golden visas for myself, my family, and friends. In typical McGregor fashion, he added, "I look forward to entertaining the fighting world once again, a pleasure I never take for granted." In an unprecedented twist, McGregor also revealed that this isn't a negotiation with the UFC in the traditional sense. "I'm not negotiating with the UFC for this fight like usual," he declared. "I'm negotiating with the United States of America." This statement alone has sparked enormous debate, adding another layer of spectacle to an already historic event. The announcement comes shortly after McGregor confirmed that he is no longer pursuing a run for the Irish presidency. "Following careful reflection and after consulting with my family, I am withdrawing my candidacy from this presidential race," McGregor stated. "This was not an easy decision, but it is the right one at this moment in time." McGregor's career has always been as much about drama outside the cage as it has been about victories inside it. From his legendary 13-second knockout of Jose Aldo in 2015 to multiple legal controversies, including a civil jury's ruling in 2023 that he sexually assaulted a woman in 2018, McGregor's public image has often been divisive. Yet, his magnetic presence and ability to draw global attention remain unmatched. Now, as the world turns its eyes toward what could be the most remarkable fight in UFC history, fans are eagerly awaiting the spectacle of Conor McGregor facing Michael Chandler in one of the most historic venues imaginable, the White House lawn. If it happens, it will be a moment that transcends combat sports, cementing McGregor's place as not just a fighter, but a cultural phenomenon.